Hey there, Daily Dosers. My name is Erich Grunder. I'm the campus pastor up in El Dorado Hills. So if you're in the Sacramento region, man, I would love to meet you. Have you ever read the description of the church, the early church in Acts, and you kind of get jealous of their interactions with each other as they are people who ate meals together and devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and went to temple back and forth, and everyone gave to one another and served each other, and no one had any need. Man, that sounds like a beautiful church to be a part of. And you kind of go, man, I would like to be a part of something like that. And then you get down into the book of Colossians, and Paul is writing to the church in chapter 3, verse 13, and he says this, "Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you have a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you." Paul's speaking to a church here. He's speaking to a community of believers. They need to learn to forgive each other. Church wasn't this utopian, but it was full of hurt, and had pain, and it had grievances with one another. Maybe this sounds a little bit more like your church experience. Here's the deal. Community is necessary for transformation. That's what Jesus calls us into. But with community will always come hurt because it's people, and we're interacting with people. And so if we take on this call to be in community with one another, we are going to need to learn to forgive each other. Forgiveness is this wonderful, excruciating, glorious, scary process. It's like this roller coaster of emotions, not like one of those like nice roller coasters like Disneyland or Six Flags or something. This is like one of those state fair roller coasters that got set up that morning, and it's being run by some high schooler getting paid $15 an hour, and you get on it thinking, this is gonna be amazing, and as it gets going, like, what have I done? This is terrible. And then it ends, you're like, that was all right, maybe I'll try it again. That's kind of like the process of forgiveness, and that's the thing. It's a process. It's not an event, and we have to be patient with the process. And you're thinking, but Erich, I've done this. I've forgiven them. I've forgiven them over and over, and I still feel angry. I still feel hurt. I still feel shame. Okay, that's because we are a complex being full of a web of emotions, and wherever this initial offense took place, we have to walk through that. We have to integrate that back into our being and process that. A couple of years ago, I got into baking sourdough bread. I know it's a whole thing. And I got a book, and I got the starter, and I began to feed the starter, and it got bigger and bigger. And somewhere along the way, I misread the directions. I ended up baking an entire loaf of starter. Starter is just that like fermenting dough, and go figure, if you bake a loaf of fermenting dough, it's terrible. It's just rotten brick of dough. It went straight in the garbage. It's horrible. What I didn't understand was that you take a part of that starter and you put it in with the whole dough lump, and you begin to knead it in, and you fold it and you stretch it and you let it sit for like 12 hours it takes for this starter to begin to be incorporated into the dough and influence all of this dough. And then you bake it, it comes out this beautiful golden brown structured bread that tastes like sourdough. That's like what it is to incorporate the offense of people back into our being. And when we do that with the Holy Spirit, He will mature you. We take that offense and we incorporate it back into our being and into who we are. It takes time, and the Holy Spirit will transform you into something beautiful, into a grace-filled person, someone who can give grace to others, extend grace to your mom, to your brother, to your friend, to your dad. And that's why he ends this passage with, "Forgive as the Lord forgave you." Why do we need this explanation? Because Christ's forgiveness is the only way for us to overcome the shame in our own life. It starts with receiving forgiveness from God. Forgiveness from Jesus is necessary to free you from your pain and from your anger and from revenge. And so Jesus is inviting us into freedom, freedom to love others the way that you've been loved. And so I want to invite you today, as this dose ends, to go to Jesus and say, how do I need to experience your forgiveness today? How do I need to experience freedom today? I hope this was encouraging to you, dosers. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.